I'd like to talk to you about Moby Dick. I just read this book. It took me 3 attempts to get through it. It's it's this particular edition is an Encyclopedia Britannica version from 1952 with very nice typesetting, very comfortable read. It starts with the biography of Melville, who had a very adventurous early life. Then he got famous too young. Uh, he was set about writing a book about whaling. Then he met Nathaniel Hawthorne, and they just kind of he became, I guess, inspired beyond belief. And so what was just going to be a run of the mill whaling adventure story turned into what we have here, which is probably the most famous book that ever came out of America. And it's largely been unread. And the reason it's been unread is because it's kind of dry at times. There are splendid passages. There's a lot of humor. The writing is very fresh and original and effervescent. Sometimes when it gets to the ship, it's all this ship speak, different parts of the ship that I couldn't look up every single little part of the ship. I just had to. It was hard enough to read it through the middle, but I would say it's not a success as a whole. I would say there are great characters that he can't possibly go into because it's just the book is not long enough for him to develop all those characters fully. Ishmael's voice is very funny. Queequeg is a very endearing guy. Ahab is clearly, am I saying it right? Monomaniacal. I mean, he's the passage where he gets the whole ship, tells the whole crew, hey, fuck this whaling. We're going to just catch the one white whale, and that's all we're about. I mean, that's there's some brilliant passages in here. Melville wrote just an amazing book. Oddly enough, when it came out, he lost his audience. He had garnered an audience through adventure writing, and then he came out with this in 1851. I mean, my God, this is like 10 years before the Civil War, People read it. They said, what the fuck is this? And, all the reviewers panned it. They didn't get it. I guess it was just too ahead of its time. But it reads, even now, 2018, this reads like a fresh novel, an original novel. It's packed with philosophy. He uses the whale to delve into many situations in life, from spirituality to the business of killing, on the high seas to, and it's a production as well. I mean, he starts to, first of all, what's the name of the goddamn book? Is it Moby Dick or the Whale? Well, okay. Then, you get the contents and you see, oh my God, look at all these chapters. Now, a lot of the chapters are short, but that doesn't matter. Etymology. And here's where the production starts. Etymology. And he starts, he introduces you to his, it's like a stage production, this book. Here's the different ways to pronounce whale in all the languages. And then he starts telling you all all these page after page of descriptions of the whale from the book of Genesis onward. And, he's really wrapping your head around, he's getting you used to himself, which I think it's a lot like James Joyce. Like when you read Portrait, he gets you in touch with Stephen Dedalus, how he thinks, how he speaks. Ulysses is obviously a real production, but so is this. And this predates Ulysses by, I don't know, I guess 70 years or something. But the opening passage will hook you. I mean, it's just, call me Ishmael. And then he goes on to tell you why he goes to sea. And, because he's depressed. And anyway, I'm not going to go through all this. I just want to let you know that it's well worth the read. I hope I go back to it later in my life. I think it's always going to be a famous book because it's readable, but it's strange, it's original, it's fresh, and it takes your mind to places that you know, you don't normally think about. And he uses the business of whaling to get you there, and all the characters. I think the funniest, the real tour de force is when he doesn't spend a lot of time with character. I don't think. I know Ahab's a famous character, but actually, when you read it, I think he spends more time philosophizing than he does going into. I mean, really fleshing out the characters to feel like you know them. You know, I think he does that with Queequeg a little better than Ahab, but that's just my opinion. The dialogue is just fantastic, you know. But Starbuck, Flask, who am I leaving out? Ishmael, Queequeg, different characters that have only certainly Ahab, and different characters that only have a small role. It's a brilliant book. It's one of the best books that America ever made. 1850, 1851 publication. It's just Melville, you know, gave America something really amazing with this, and I hope you read it. I hope I read it myself again at some point.